This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody, wherever you're coming from. And we're about to have a super exciting session with two lovely ladies who are going to teach you everything that you need to know to understand the importance of stem cells. And one of the things is stem cells is the greatest health and anti-aging discovery of our lifetime. And I'm sure once you hear a bit more, you'll agree with me as well. So welcome everybody and look forward to your participation. Now, a couple of little housekeeping things. To get the best value out of this, just make sure you turn off your phones and all distractions. That way you can give 100% to what's being said and you'll get the most value out of it. Also, if you wouldn't mind saving your questions until the end, because there is a lot to cover, and that way you can fully focus on the information you're going to get. And I do promise we will not leave until all questions have been asked and answered. And a little special something for you too. If you stay to the end, we have some great bonuses for everybody. Okay, so who are we? Well, first of all, I'm Simon, your host. I'm a serial entrepreneur and stem cell lover. As you've probably seen in some of the emails, I first came across Sarul because of my mother and the whole stem cell nutrition. And it was something that I saw her struggling after a hip operation. She came and visited me overseas and she was struggling to get around and everything else. And then I saw her after she'd started stem cell nutrition and the amazing impact it had in her life. And that was about almost 6 years ago now. And I've been a huge fan ever since. I would like to welcome you and introduce you to Linda. Linda is a leading naturopath and international speaker. She's been using stem cells for 15 years in her clinic and is probably the #1 expert on this stem cell nutrition in the world. So welcome, Linda.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
And I'd like to introduce Sandra, who started using stem cell nutrition over a decade ago, and she did it purely for prevention, which is not common because most of the people that ever start stem cell nutrition start because they have some underlying or serious health issue or ailment. So she started purely for prevention 12 years ago, and she's now one of the global #1 consultants in the world. Welcome, Sandra.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so why is this so important? Well, first of all, and I hope you all agree with me, and I'm sure you do, because otherwise you wouldn't be on this call, our health is critical to the enjoyment that we give. If we have bad health, we can't enjoy ourselves to the fullest. And we only get one shot at this. There are no do-overs, there's no dress rehearsals. This is our life. So, I'm guessing you want the best possible life that you can have as well. Otherwise, as said, you wouldn't be here. And we've been able to help tens of thousands of satisfied customers over the years. And this year, our goal is to helping 1 million people to have a much healthier, happier life and to live life to the fullest. So I'm going to hand it over to Sandra, who's going to tell you all about stem cell nutrition.
Thanks, Simon. Okay, with stem cells, people know that they're good, but they're not sure why. And I just want to explain very simply why they are so amazing. First of all, an adult stem cell you're actually born with. You don't have to be an adult to have them. So you're born with adult stem cells. And a stem cell has 2 functions. The first one is that a stem cell, it's like a blank cell. So it can become virtually any cell in the body. It could go and become a brain cell. It could become a heart cell, become a nerve cell, cartilage cell, wherever it needs to go. And the second function is once it's gone to the heart or the brain, it can replicate itself. So if it goes to the heart, it becomes a heart cell and replicates itself many times over. So one stem cell in 3 hours has replicated or duplicated itself 1,500 times. So that's the amazing ability of stem cells. Okay. So how do they repair? So your stem cells are in the bone marrow. And what happens is the body will send out a message. If there's damaged or aging cells, they send a signal to the bone marrow and say, help, we need some help in this area. The bone marrow releases the stem cells. They travel through the circulation system and they go to the tissue where they're needed to heal and repair. And then those stem cells, like I said before, will become that cell of whatever that tissue is, and they'll turn into new healthy cells of that organ and tissue. So that's it in a nutshell. This is a very simple example. So you've cut your finger, your system sends out an SOS and the stem cells race to the rescue. The stem cells will repair and renew that tissue over time. And so then you've got a perfectly healed finger. Now, keep in mind, this is going on throughout your body, areas that you don't even feel or you don't even see. All those organs and tissues and things in your body, this is what stem cells are doing throughout your body every day. So stem cells are today's reality, and you need them in for particular areas like repair and injury. You know, when you're injured, the body's going to send out more stem cells to help repair. They're going to, if you've got any chronic diseases or degeneration, they will also send stem cells to those areas. And, you know, if you've been out in the garden, you've got a sore back, you're not feeling good, if you walk too far, those stem cells are going to go, okay, we're going to go there and help you as well. So your stem cells are being released every day. They're building and repairing your body every day. So, I mean, you can probably see already that they're really so important. It's the only way the body regenerates itself. And it's the only way that dying and unhealthy cells are replaced is with stem cells. And it doesn't matter how long those cells live for, whether it's days, weeks, or sometimes years, those cells will be replaced with stem cells. Then you can take your vitamins and your minerals, your antioxidants, which are really important because they will feed and nourish and protect the cells that you have now. But no matter how much you do that, they will not regenerate. They will still die off, and you still need your stem cells to come in and repair and regenerate. So you've got two actions. You've got the vitamins and minerals to nourish and protect, and you've got stem cells to regenerate and to heal. So, good and bad news. As you get older, your stem cell migration reduces. So at birth, you've got 100% of your own stem cells being released. And up to age 35, it's reduced by about 45%. But, you know, from birth to 30, you know, we feel like we're bulletproof. Our skin's beautiful. We've got energy. We're flexible. We can move around. And then it's after that, when your stem cells start to reduce, that things may happen within your body. So by the time you're 50, you've got 50% less stem cells that are migrating through your body. And by age 65, you're 90% lower. So that means you've got 10% of your stem cells being released to maintain the body you have, let alone doing any repair work on any other health conditions that you may have. So it's often, you know, in your 60s that people are noticing that the body is starting to break down, and you've got aches and pains, you've got a few things going on. You might have a few sore joints, you might be able to move so easily. You know, maybe your eyesight's not as good. All those things start to happen, and because you have so many, you have so much less of your stem cells being released, there's not enough to actually maintain that status quo. So as I said, by the age of 65, we're on a little bit of a slippery slope here. You're down 90%, and you need those stem cells. They're the blank slates that are going to go throughout your body wherever they're needed to regenerate your body. Research has also shown that if you have some sort of disease state, then you will also have less 50% of your stem cells that are being released. So if you're 50, you've already down 50%. And if you have some health challenge, you've actually less 50%. So that means you're down to 25%, no matter what you've got going on, whether it's arthritis, heart conditions, macular degeneration, diabetes, you will have 50% less than someone who doesn't have those conditions. But the good news is that most of these diseases are avoidable and treatable by increasing the amount of your circulating stem cells throughout your bloodstream. So the more stem cells you can have in circulation, the healthier you will be. And so that's where we come on to the wonderful Linda Hoggard, who she's just the most wonderful person and so knowledgeable about this product. And she is the world expert because no one else has used this product in a clinical situation like she has for the last 15 years. So we're really very honoured to have her on this call today. Hi, Linda.
Hi there, Sandra.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so one thing that you mentioned many years ago to me, Linda, was that as a practitioner, you could help people to a certain level, and with all your knowledge and expertise, you could help them to a certain level. But when stem cell nutrition came along, you could take them to a whole new level that was just not available to you before. Can you just touch on that for me, Linda?
Yes, for sure. So by the time I found the original version of the stem cell nutrition, I'd been a full-time practicing naturopath with a really busy clinic, booked out 2 or 3 months ahead for about 8 years. So with all of that kind of experience under my belt, I very much knew kind of where the sort of the edge was. And I often say to people that there are times basically as a practitioner when your back's against the wall with how you can help someone move forward with their health. And that's got a lot to do with, where their body is kind of at. And when you think about things, for example, to do with the heart, you can feed the heart cells with magnesium and CoQ10 and D-ribose and nutrients to help it get more energy. But we know now that the heart has a really high requirement on a daily basis for stem cells. So hence, someone with conditions in these areas, there's only like so much you could kind of do. And then all of a sudden I had a mechanism to be able to give someone a product that naturally mobilized more of their own stem cells, so their body had more resources to go to places like the heart. And of course these resources will go everywhere, but I can think of someone that I worked with very early on whose back was really against the wall and had every naturopathic, Chinese medicine, pharmaceutical, surgical intervention available, and then to actually be able to mobilize those stem cell resources was a game changer, and we finally started really moving forward.
That's good. Linda, you had a few health challenges yourself, and you also mentioned your mum. Do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I often say that by the time I found stem cell nutrition, I'd got rid of the drivers of why I was really unwell. So I found stem cell nutrition at around 33, 15 years ago. And I'd had a lot of kind of chronic gut issues. And by my late 20s, I had an epiphany that really I was profoundly gluten intolerant. So from a digestive system point of view, I'd done everything that I could to sort of get rid of bad bugs that had got on board while the environment could harbour them. I'd actually had quite a build-up of mucoid plaque. I'd got rid of that, etc. And I'd taken a lot of nutrients to rebuild and repair the gut lining, but I always had this kind of feeling like that it could be a lot better, and that I'd never really, recovered from, I guess nearly 30 years of eating gluten when I shouldn't have been. And so for me, after about a year of taking the products at a good clinical amount, I noticed just some significant changes in my digestive system and function. Like it just, so much stuff just came together for me, and I've never looked back from that. I had also had surgery on my foot, my right foot, when I was 12. and it was anticipated by my mid-20s I would need a joint replacement. And I got into my 30s and I was having times where the big toe joint was really seizing up, and I was thinking, you know, maybe it is going to need to be replaced. And in my own experience, after about 7 months of taking stem cell nutrition, mobilizing those resources, they must have started to think they needed to work on my right foot. And I actually had a big flare up in that area for a few days, and I needed to walk on a walking stick. And then I can remember lying in bed on the 4th day kind of going, oh, how's it going? And my foot joint just had this flexibility that I hadn't experienced, and I stood up. I'm 6 foot tall, and I could put all my weight on my tiptoes, which I'd never been able to do without really acute pain. And I've never seen any sign of those symptoms since. I had a lot of changes in improvement in heart rate recovery without changing my exercise regime, improvement in lung capacity, etc. So at 33, I had things that really needed help from a healing point of view because I was behind the 8 ball. I'd also been medically diagnosed with mercury and copper poisoning at 24. So there were lots of things. And now for me, like yourself, Sandra, it's very much about prevention and taking this body that's functioning really well and supporting its cellular turnover, you know, into my 50s, 60s, and so on. And I'm excited to have a resource like this that I can invest in to increase my own stem cell migration.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. And you asked me about my mum, and I think that's because you've seen me speak in public quite a number of times. So my mum, when I found the products, was 60 and lived in rural New Zealand and grew up with farmers. So at 60, my mum was quite kind of worn out, and her hands had got quite a lot of arthritis issues at that time. She couldn't use a peeler to peel vegetables. She couldn't knit anymore. In very cold southerly winds, she was having problems with her hips and needing to put a hot water bottle on them. And so when I first found the product, I said, I'm sending you some product, you know, I want you to take this amount and we'll just talk about it in a while. And within a while, she said, I think that's the best thing you've ever put me on. And that's because the product has a natural mood enhancer, and she really felt the benefit of that. And I remember talking to her about 7 months later, and it was the middle of New Zealand winter, and she was already having a very big change in her hip pain, and she was back using vegetable peelers and knitting, and so the road that Mum was on at 60 was really heading, like, where was she going to be sort of at 70? And I remember at her 70th birthday kind of looking at her going, you know, thank goodness for these products, because her road had really turned and she'd been able to consistently stay on them for 10 years. And she was in a very different place at 70 in herself, her health and her joints than she was on a trajectory to be on.
Yeah, good. Linda, something that comes up a lot is arthritis. Arthritis seems to be very prevalent.
Yes.
And it's a question I get asked more than any other. So that would be good to just shed some light on that.
In regards to the potential of stem cell nutrition?
Yes.
Well, I think in my clinical practice, I studied a lot of different structural therapies and to be a naturopath. So I had always been giving people products for their joints, and I'd seen people, you know, have a decrease in discomfort and increase in flexibility, which is what the research very much shows is possible with those products. But I'd never seen people's x-rays change, and that's what I started to see with my own patients. You know, I would say 10 months, a year and a half onto the product, because you've got to remember you might have joints that are damaged, dysfunctional, arthritic, and you want all your stem cells to go to those joints, but your heart and your brain are going, hey, you know, we're going to hook into that. So I always ask people if they're looking for x-rays, you know, to be looking a year and a half down the track. And the first things to see is that you haven't degenerated any further, because one of the things I would say about stem cell nutrition is that you can rely on it putting the brakes on your degeneration tendencies, and then depending how much you take, your body, etc., you can see a turnaround in symptoms and potentially a turnaround in your tests. And that's very much to do with what your body is doing with its own stem cells. All the product is doing is getting your own stem cells moving, plus some of the other natural benefits. So when we're looking at arthritis, the joint has got to a level where it's quite degenerated, and that joint really needs resources. It needs new stem cells to become new cartilage cells, to become new end bone cells, to become new lubricant cells that create the lubrication, etc.
It's good to have that visual reference, I guess, you know, that because we know it works, but sometimes it's good for people to have that, you know, that.
And as a practitioner, I was really excited. Like I always say to practitioners, like I went to naturopathic college to really learn how the body worked and how to help it biochemically and naturally, because I'd had a lot of health issues as a child, and endometriosis and polycystic ovaries and all these things that really, when we look at the body biochemically and nutritionally, there's lots and lots of answers for. And so I was interested in how to really get results. And I'm quite a results-based practitioner when I do work with people. And then to have something to take my results to that other level, and then to start having people kind of going, just coming back for a checkup, check out what these are showing. You know, it's exciting. And I've been passionate and excited about spreading this for the rest of my life ever since, basically. Yeah,
me too. I always tell people this is the most super anti-aging product on the planet. And, you know, one of the reasons I went on it was because I don't want to get old. I don't want to have, I don't want to be sick. Don't want to be incapacitated in any way. And, you know, I think it helps with your skin and, you know, your whole body, because your stem cells are intelligent and know where to go. So can you give a little bit more on that, Linda?
Yeah, and your hair, I think you were telling me about a friend that's, oh, yes, sorry, we've got a bit of an overlap. Oh, and I was just going to say about hair, and you were telling me about a friend of yours that we both know that's been on the product about the same time as you, Sandra, and she was commenting how she was in her 60s when she started on it, and after some amount of time, you know, her eyebrows grew back. And I like people to really think about giving your body resources. You know, why do you lose hair in your eyebrows? There are glandular kind of issues and hormonal issues, but they are compounded with not enough cellular turnover, often in the glands, and inflammation. And then when the follicles are kind of dying off and calling for stem cells, and you're not supporting your stem cell migration, there might not be enough. And so those areas don't get supported. And then when you mobilize your own stem cells, and these areas that might, providing the cells haven't totally died, if they've just shut down, they'll come back to life. And I know you and I have seen that a lot in people's hair and, well, just all through the body. Yeah. And I think with the skin, you know, we know that, of course, stem cells become new collagen producing cells, and we have a stem cell nutrition product that can actually be used topically that has its own science showing that it turns on and activates the stem cells in the skin and increases the production of collagen producing cells.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's just super anti-aging. A couple of the other areas, not that you have to go into all of these, but the ones that sort of seem to come up now is macular degeneration, Parkinson's, and diabetes. These are kind of, and with arthritis, these are kind of like the big four that seem to be so much more prevalent than they used to be. And we, you know, I have had experience with people with those conditions, and like you said, it sometimes just halts it in its tracks.
Yep.
And then
sometimes it turns it around. So I think we always have to be mindful what we say, and that it's very much about each person's journey. But my question to people who have those conditions is, what would your body do with more stem cells? Would your body make more dopamine producing cells? Would it make more insulin producing cells? Would the anti-inflammatory effect of the product decrease the inflammation of your brain? Would it improve your insulin resistance by reducing inflammation in your body, etc.? And also, you know, will it, of course, your stem cells become new eye cells, and you know, some of the limiting issues around that are to do with circulation. So we see that in the range that we're talking about, there's a very, very good microcirculation product that I always add in when we're working with eyes, because a lot of research is basically saying all those conditions that are coming on with older age are very much linked to a drop-off in your stem cells. So, yeah, it's something that you can do to give your body the resources and see what it does with it on your journey to recovering your body and health, and to manage your own aging process.
That's wonderful, Linda. Yes, I've been on the product for over 12 years, went on for prevention, and will never go off it, ever go off it.
Yeah,
my mother-in-law turns 93 next week, and she's been on it for 12 years as well, and she is amazing.
For sure. Yeah. And as you know, I have a new man in my life who turned up in my life. He is a horse whisperer, and he had a very bad horse, not a horse accident, a horse kicked him in full extension into his knee 14 years ago. And of course, I'm like, I know what's going to help, particularly for the inside damage. So he's been taking a really good clinical amount for a year, and he was standing at the kitchen here the other day going, what are we going to do if they stop making this stuff? We'd really miss it. And that's because he's been able to see in his 50s to have quite like a massive turnaround. You know, a year ago he was taking Nurofen to sleep, and that's not, I mean, that hasn't happened for such a long time. And then of course, when we're talking about the stem cell nutrition product, because it's made 50% from a concentrated algae and other natural compounds, they come with other benefits. For example, the pigment in the algae, the main algae, is really naturally anti-inflammatory, and in the main algae concentrate there's a concentrate of phenylethylamine, PEA, or it's kind of like the happy stuff in chocolate, and it's a very good mood enhancer. So often people coming onto the products will notice that they feel like they can cope better in life through to feeling quite a lot happier. It's wonderful if you've been through a really rough time with your body, or perhaps you've been given news about, you know, your expected deterioration rate, to help with that mental outlook and coping while you potentially support your body through a better outlook. And of course, being extremely nourishing and nutritious. And there is also a compound in there that is known to increase the migration of natural killer cells. So I know for Dot and I, we noticed taking the product on a daily basis because of those benefits. And then the stem cell migration benefits, you look back over time, you know, you just support your body day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You perhaps use a higher amount to help your body bounce back depending on your age and what you've been through, and then come to looking at, you know, what would be the amount that you would like to use to help manage your aging process and continue onwards.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know when I first found out about the product, I was so excited I could hardly sleep. I thought, look what I've got in my hand. So I hope people watching today are as excited as we are, because we have seen the changes and we've seen the difference.
Yes,
so
I know. And I was going to say about that excitement. I'd first seen changes in myself, and then I'd got some product in when we used to have to get it in through the US postal system, and I'd seen some really cool things, and then I got sent a DVD explaining what science understood about stem cells, and the DVD showed and proved that basically, particularly our heart is rebuilding and regenerating with the migration of our own adult stem cells. And they did that because in 2003, biochemists won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, and they worked out how to tag the stem cells of rats with a glowing phosphorescence. And so they started to kind of go, what happens if we damage the heart area and tag the stem cells, and if we go back and look at the heart once it's repaired, when you just look at the heart under those cells under a microscope, they're heart cells, but when they cast the light over it, they started going, well, here's the proof. These heart cells were once stem cells, and that was the beginning of it. And I watched that DVD and I couldn't sleep. It's just fantastic.
Okay, thanks very much, Linda. I'm sure people are really excited after hearing your knowledgeable information on stem cells. Okay, back to you, Simon.
Thank you, ladies. And I found that super informative, and I find it really exciting And I guess from my business in like, you know, working in legal and banking, I kind of think of an analogy like, imagine, you know, I've worked in very busy workplaces, and you've got a task to do, and you've got 100 staff working on that task. And then each year somebody comes and takes, which is kind of exactly what happens in banking, by the way. They come and take away more headcount. And so they say, you've still got the same amount of work to do, but we're taking 10 people to work on another project. And I was just thinking, by the age of 50, you've lost half your staff, your workload doubled. So the expectations are, and for anybody that can associate with that and has worked in the industry and understands, like, or in any job, you know, the expectations of our employer are we're meant to do more and more work. We have less and less resources, and something ends up breaking, and that's our bodies. And so to have something that comes in and to use stem cell nutrition to replenish that and to be able to kind of fix the problem. It's like bringing in a whole lot of temp staff.
Yes.
Is absolutely brilliant. So,
and if something goes wrong one day and you need extra temp staff, like you fall off your bike or you do too much gardening, you've got it right there.
that is super exciting. And having recently had knee surgery and other things, I know firsthand how it's worked, and I just upped, you know, how much I was taking. And for me, like I not once had, even after surgery, I never took any pain medication and all the rest of it. And it feels now better than before, and I've just healed very, very quickly. So thank you very much for that. Now, one of the things that's obviously you've heard us talk about it, but there's a whole lot of people, as I said, there are tens of thousands of people that have actually used this over the last 15, 20 years. Is there anybody that springs to mind that you'd like to speak about?
Oh, I think looking at those photos there, I'm pretty sure I've met all of those people personally, and some of them I know quite well because they've become passionate about spreading their experiences. So I think Raylene Jury there on the yellow background is very passionate about spreading the word about these products. Raylene had multiple spinal breaks, and when she first came into my sphere to be asked, like, crikey, how much product should this lady take? You know, she's had far more go on than average, and she was still sort of paralysed down one arm, etc. So I recommended that we put her on kind of our highest amount of the products. And really, she just day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year for the first year, just went from strength to strength. And all those sites in her body, like when you think about structural injuries, like one of her injuries was quite a bad fall that led to a spinal fracture, is that in time, you know, you could be 10 years down the track and that whole area still hurts, and you could have structural therapies that help remove the pain. They probably also open up the circulation to allow stem cells to come into that area, but really that area is never actually healed. So if you can provide the resources, you'll start to experience symptom change in your recovery. And so Raylene had a lot of recovery from accidents, and she'd also had very significant depression. And for Raylene, what really has worked for her, and she's sort of tried everything over the years, pharmaceutically and nutritionally. And I will urge that this is a big subject, so be mindful, you know, when you're working and talking to people around their mental outlook and things. But for her, the mood enhancement has been really life-changing, as it has been for a lot of people. I think underneath here, Tony Hayden-Smith, who had atrial fibrillation and had some just really significant improvements, which I've seen kind of consistently. And essentially I put that down to the fact that your stem cells can become new sinoatrial node cells, and these are the cells in the heart that create the electrical depolarization, because AF is an interference with that. And also with that issue in the heart, sometimes there is scar tissue in the upper atrium, so that when the signals come in, they bounce around. Now, one thing we know that our bodies only scar in the absence of stem cells. So if you think about babies that have surgery in the womb or soon after, they pretty much don't scar, and our scarring, increases. And essentially the way we understand scarring is a secondary healing effect when there's not enough stem cells. So I have witnessed with my own eyes over time, people with significant kind of scars and things just see a suppleness and reduction. And you can see that externally when people have had like jugs of hot water taken over them, and then I've gone to speak in different areas, a year after year, and people have gone, look at it this year, everything's just improving. And so we see that on the inside, and I know I've done quite a lot of work with endometriosis as well, and helping, and women giving me feedback that just a lot of things are improving. They may have had hysterectomies and surgeries, but they're still suffering from the scar tissue. So as we get that scar tissue in the abdominal area less inflamed and more stem cells in that area, they can have some dramatic improvement in their experience of their body.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much for that. Now, for all of you in TV land, as promised, we have bonuses for everyone. Who said Christmas was over? So, and these have been very kindly written by Linda, using her experience and background. So the first bonus that you're going to get is a ebook, Inflammation Is My Body on Fire? And for all of you that are suffering pain, this is something no doubt you will eagerly want and have a look at. And then the next one is another ebook written by Linda, 5 Other Things You Can Do to Ease Your Joint Issues. So all this very very useful. Now, we also have a call with Sandra. So if you've got questions, you want to go through and talk with Sandra, you can have a bonus session with her, and we can organize that for you. And then we have a call with Linda or Elizabeth. And I know Elizabeth is sitting there in the crowd. I am her proud son. So mum is also, her background was biochemistry, medical nutrition, and biochemistry, medical nutrition, and microbiology. There you are. So you can also get a bonus call with Linda or Elizabeth. And I can tell you that is very worthwhile. And then one of the things, if this has been interesting to you, this has been exciting, and you want to have or take part in getting your own stem cell nutrition, this bonus is to learn how to get it for free. Okay, I'm sure that is something of interest to all of you. So the value of that is absolutely priceless, as I think you will all understand. So basically, putting it all together, you're going to get 2 ebooks. You're going to get the call with Sandra, the call with either Linda or Elizabeth, and that is worth, and obviously you can learn how to get the free products. That is worth $448, but really priceless, a lifetime supply of stem cell nutrition. So that is all there. All you need to do is we'll give you a link, and you just need to go and register there. Now, if you would like to, like Linda and like Sandra, if you would like to also have your own stem cell business, there are people making life-changing income from this, then just mention that on the call to Sandra on your calls, and that can be arranged and more information can be provided to you as well. Also, there's a marketing system and training and everything else that you can all have, which you'll get access to. So to register for these bonuses, just so you know, just so you're not worried, there is no cost, there's no credit card, you don't need to do anything. There is 0 commitment. These will all be sent out to you. They're yours to keep. But if you're serious about a better life, then obviously there has never been a better time to start doing this. As you heard from Linda and heard from Sandra, our bodies are degenerating. We are having less resources to fight with them. The best time to start this is right now. So anyway, use the link there. it's bit.ly/stem cell bonuses. Go and register there, and all those free bonuses are yours. Okay, so go and do that. Now, I did promise if there were any questions that we would cover them all. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat box, and I will hope that the chat will come up and I will see it. Otherwise, hopefully, maybe the ladies will be able to see it. So if you've got any chat, you can put in the Q&A or the chat box, and we'll go through those. I have one question here. We'll give this to Linda. Someone's asked, how long will the average person normally see an impact? And is there a possibility that they will go through some kind of negative period first, like a detox?
Yeah, I think I've heard the whole question. So there is a compound that naturally occurs in the algae concentrate that can upregulate our detoxification pathways. So I always suggest that people start on a lower amount and build up. It could be really hard to pick who. In fact, I can't pick who this is going to happen to, because sometimes, you know, people have lived quite a rough life, and you think, wow, they're just really going to detox, and their body just takes on those resources and goes from strength to strength. And then I've worked with other people who've done significant work on their health, but I guess for some reason there's just that extra way that compound works, and things get moving that haven't been able to move before, which is quite exciting, because it's better to get these things out of our body than to have them locked up. And so, yeah, that's my recommendation for when you do get started on the products, is to start low and build up. Did that answer the whole question? I might have missed the first part of it.
The other one was, how soon will people normally see an impact? Oh,
okay. So that is really different across the board. You've heard me talk today about the mood enhancing aspect of the product. So sometimes people notice that quite quickly, like within days to weeks. And then other people also really notice their body. It has a really good effect from the natural anti-inflammatory effect. And I've seen people really quickly have like the sense of like a grease and oil change. And that once again can happen from days to weeks. But when I'm working with people, I kind of talk about them really committing to take that more of a clinical level amount for what they're going through for at least 6 to 8 months before we discuss their serving size. And that's essentially because for many, many people, it's just supporting their body day after day, week after week, month after month, and then looking back over time. So it's a really good idea to write down perhaps how your body is sort of feeling, and not to get obsessive over it, but over time kind of look back and see how that's changing. So often people, their bad sore days, they're not as intense, and then there's not as many of them, and it starts changing and overlapping. And I think people need to be quite patient with themselves and their bodies, and just know that they're providing the resources.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks for that. And then there's one more question, and that is there anything that this does not work for?
Well, I don't think there's any cell type it doesn't not work for, because science has really proven now that, a stem cell can become any of the 217 different cell types. So from a providing resources point of view, it does what it does. It increases the migration of your own stem cells. Now, how inflamed your body is, and how well your microcirculation works, they are things that can affect, once those stem cells are out in circulation, how well they can get to where they need to go and function. That's also why we work with extra anti-inflammatory support and circulation support for some people.
Fantastic. All right. Well, ladies, thank you very much. For everybody, I hope this has been super informative and useful. I do know that, as I said, the first time I experienced firsthand the impact this had on my mum. that was enough for me, and I've been using it ever since. Both my wife and I are big fans. I think, as you said, Linda, what would we all do if this ever stopped? So, and I've been lucky enough to introduce it to friends, and have seen the positive impact it's had in their lives, and in some stages, really, really significant impact. So thank you very much for both of you to be here today to share this wonderful message. Everybody, do not forget, grab your bonuses. There are no strings attached. There is the address there below, bit.ly/stem cell bonuses. Go register there. You'll get an email that'll set out all the information that you need and everything else. So thank you very much. Wherever you are in the world, have a good night, good day, or good morning. And if you're like Linda and Sandra and myself, and you've just come across all this for the first time, then you might find it's a very exciting night, and you might not get a lot of sleep. But anyway, thank you for being here, and look out for our emails. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.